Hello and warm regards from Next Styles team. Welcome to another episode of Daily News Analysis. Today is 26 December and let's see the news that we are going to cover today. The first news we are having is about the National Intelligence Grid, which has now been integrated with the NPR. So we are going to study what is National Intelligence Grid or Net Grid, what is NPR and what is the implication of this linking. The second topic we are having is FSSAI. FSSAI has given definition for tea, that what things constitute tea. Is herbal tea actually a tea or not? That FSSAI has now clarified. The third topic is about the Mantri Sadak Yojana. Now this Mantri Sadak Yojana has completed 25 years and we are going to see what has been the achievements of this particular scheme. The next topic we are having is Constitution of India has been released in the Santhali language, that is Schedule 8 language. The next topic or last topic we are having is US naval moves against Venezuela. Now US actually put sanctions on other countries, so we are going to go in detail what kind of sanctions and how these sanctions are applicable on the countries that are put by USA. Now the first topic we are having is NetGrid integrates with NPR or the National Population Register. Now this topic is relevant from GS paper 3 internal security. By integrating the NetGrid with the NPR, the security agencies are going to have access to details of the family of around 119 crore residents in the country. So they are going to have better access to the data. Now, what is this NetGrid? NetGrid is actually a real-time intelligence sharing, data sharing platform under Ministry of Home Affairs. And it was conceptualized in 2009 after the 26/11 Mumbai attacks. So after that, the need was felt that we should have better integration between the security agencies. In that context, this NetGrid or National Intelligence Grid was conceptualized. But it took 15 years to actually make it operational. So this NetGrid became operational in 2024 itself. So that we took a very long time of 15 years to form this NetGrid. Now next thing is that what kind of databases are available on this NetGrid. So it will be having the Aadhaar details, driving license, vehicle registration details, any data shared by the Financial Intelligence Unit, or any data from the social media that is relevant, telecom, KYC, FASTag, bank and financial records data, airlines and passenger information. So almost all kind of details through which a person can be tracked are available on this NetGrid database. Now next part that comes is that this NetGrid is having a particular tool known as Gandiv. Now this Gandiv is actually the धनुष बाण of Arjun, जिसको खुद ब्रह्मा ने डिजाइन किया था, तो उसी के नाम पे ये टूल रखा गया है. Now this Gandiv, this is actually going to analyze the multi-source data collection, then advanced data analytics, facial recognition and entity resolution. So all these features are of Gandiv, that is the analytical tool of the NetGrid. Through the Gandiv, investigators can access family details of the suspects available on the National Population Register. उसके साथ साथ images of the suspects will be matched with the telecom KYC records, vehicle registration data and driving license database, जिससे कि the investigation that will become very fast. Its pace is going to increase. Now next part is what kind of information is available. So information को basically 3 parts में divide किया गया है. एक है non sensitive, second is sensitive and third one is highly sensitive. So ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि किसी भी person की detail कोई भी security agency person can retrieve. So for that, these 3 kind of details have been classified. Highly sensitive के अंदर it will be having bank statement, financial transactions and trade and data, tax and trade data. So according to the sensitivity of the data, उसके हिसाब से उसके safeguards भी रखे गए हैं under this NetGrid. Now privacy safeguard के लिए first of all, any query that is being made through the NetGrid will be digitally logged, यानी उसकी entry अपने आप हो जाएगी automatically. Secondly, purpose of data access must be clearly stated, वो state करना पड़ेगा. Thirdly, senior officers can provide oversight, so they are going to be there who are going to provide oversight so that there is no misuse of the data. And lastly, multiple checks and balances have been provided so as to prevent the misuse of the information, because this information is very sensitive to a person. Now next part comes is that who is going to have access to the NetGrid. So basically the major security agencies including IB, RNAW, then NIA, ED, FIU, Narcotics Control Bureau and Director of Revenue Intelligence. All of them are going to have access to the net grid. Earlier they were having, now the access to net grid has been accessible to the SPF police rank officers and above in the states also. And उसके साथ साथ the Ministry of Home Ministry is saying that this net grid should be accessible to the state police forces and central law enforcement and security agencies, so that better crime tracking and crime investigation can be done. So objective here is that to strengthen the intelligence gathering and ensure faster investigation of the criminal cases undergoing using indigenous and secure system. तो उस चीज के लिए the Home Ministry wants that this net grid should be accessible to the state police also, so that their crime investigation can also be fastened. Now, and also we know that there's a linkage, a clear linkage between the organized crime and the terrorist activity. So in that case also, it is very important for us to ensure that the criminal cases are being fast-tracked, they are being investigated in a proper and faster manner. Now, उसके लिए they are now forming a organized crime network database. Now, this is being developed so that the state polices are also having access to this data. So it will be, it aims to facilitate secure data sharing between NIA and the state anti-terror squads. Now, next part is NPR, or the National Population Register. National Population Register actually records who is living in the country. So it contains family-wise population data, and it is different from the National Register of Citizens. So National Population Register एक चीज है और हमारे पास दूसरी चीज है National Register for Citizen. ये दोनों चीजें different है. NPR is said to be precursor to this NRC. So NRC का precursor है. NRC बनाने से पहले हमें National Population Register बनाना होगा, उसके बाद हम NRC बना पाएंगे. And it was first collected in 2010 during the census of 2011. And it was last updated in 2015. Now, census 2027 की अगर हम बात करें तो although their allocation to this census is around 11,718 crores, but in this allocation nothing is being said about the NPR. इसमें NPR के लिए कोई provision नहीं है, and the government has also answered the question in parliament that NPR के ऊपर अभी decision लेना बाकी है. So the NPR data that we are having is up to 2015 only. Now it's your turn. Attempt this MCQ and post your answers in the comment box. The second topic we are having is the definition of tea. Now what we are going to call tea and what shall not be considered as tea, this has been defined by FSSAI, and relevance is from GS Prelims. Now let's see the news. The news is that the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, FSSAI, has issued a strict warning to the food business operators against the misuse of the term tea. The FSSAI has clearly said that any item which will be designated as tea should be having the leaves or should be derived from a particular plant known as Camellia sinensis. So जो भी tea होगा, tea should have the extracts of this particular plant, that it should be derived from this particular plant. If any drink is not being derived from this particular plant, then it will not be considered as a tea. And ये particularly आया है because there is a issue of misbranding and misleading with respect to certain drinks, for example, rooibos tea, herbal tea and flower tea. So in the coming future, there can be a situation in which these particular drinks will not be considered as tea. So FSSAI has given a clear instruction regarding that. FSSAI has said that the order, that is Food Safety and Standards, Food Product Standards and Food Additives Regulation 2011 Act, clearly states that tea, that is green tea and instant tea in solid form, should be derived exclusively from Camellia sinensis. So Camellia sinensis is important because Camellia sinensis is the only plant from which tea can be derived. Any other plant from which the tea is being derived, that particular derived product will not be known as tea. So उसके पीछे से टी का जो टैग है वो हट जाएगा. Now it's your turn. Attempt this MCQ and post your answers in the comment box. Infrastructure is backbone of any economy. If you want to bring development, पहले infrastructure create करो, because infrastructure के बाद ही बाकी चीजें हो सकती हैं. So in that context, to bring development to the rural areas, we are having Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana, and this particular scheme has completed 25 years. This topic is relevant from GS paper 3, infrastructure and rural development. This scheme was started on 25th December 2000 and now it has completed 25 years of its existence. This scheme is being implemented by Ministry of Rural Development. ये आपको clearly याद होना चाहिए. Ministry of Rural Development is implementing the scheme, so don't be confused with Ministry of Panchayati Raj or with Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. तो इसको कौन implement कर रहा है? It is Ministry of Rural Development. Now this particular scheme has helped in agricultural growth, employment generation, poverty reduction and inclusive development. So these are the roles of the infrastructure that particular scheme is implementing. For example, it has improved the market access and price realization for the farmers. Now farmer can directly approach the urban market, the city markets to sell their produce. So middleman को हटाने में this particular scheme has helped a lot. Second, access to education, healthcare and social services. Now the children from the rural areas can go to urban areas and can study there. उनके जो reach है वो easy हो जाती है. Healthcare facilities have become more accessible to the rural people. The social services have become more accessible to the rural people. Now what this scheme has done, this scheme has actually brought the urban services to the rural areas, or the distance has now been decreased. So it has helped in strengthening the rural urban integration and reducing the regional disparities and has boosted farm and non-farm livelihood. So that has been the significance of this particular scheme. Now if we talk in the terms of numbers, so numbers ke terms mein, a total of 8.25 lakh kilometers was sanctioned under the scheme, and usme se we have actually completed 7.87 lakh kilometers of road. If you talk about the phase 3 of the scheme, तो उसके अंदर 1.22 lakh sanction हुआ था and 1.01 lakh was completed. अभी जो current phase चल रहा है, that is phase 4, उसके अंदर we are having 62,500 kilometers और उस पूरा allocation के जो amount है that is allocated is 70,125 crore rupees. Now next is what are the various phases. So basically 4 phases में हमने scheme को अभी तक implement किया है. First phase it was in 2000. The focus was universal all-weather connectivity to the unconnected habitats. तो उसमें objective ये था to connect the villages to markets, schools and healthcare institutions. उसमें we connected 1.63 lakh habitats जो उससे connect हुए थे. Then phase 2 का objective था upgradation and consolidation of the existing rural roads. जो हमने अभी तक बना लिए हैं उनको consolidate करना, उनको upgrade करना. Then phase 3. Phase 3 से पहले there was road connectivity project for the left wing extremism affected areas. So उसमें 44 जो affected districts है उसको हमें connect करना था. उसके लिए हमारे पास this particular scheme was there, that was launched in 2016. After that phase 3 came in 2019. In this one we focused upon strengthening through routes and major rural rings. उसमें 1.25 lakh kilometers road was sanctioned. इसका objective था ग्रामीण एग्रीकल्चर मार्केट्स, हायर सेकेंडरी स्कूल्स एंड हेल्थ केयर फैसिलिटीज के साथ कनेक्ट करना रूरल एरियाज को. एंड लास्टली वी आर हैविंग द फेज 4 दैट इज स्पैनिंग बिटवीन 24 to 29. उसमें द ऑब्जेक्टिव इज टू प्रोवाइड लास्ट माइल ऑल वेदर कनेक्टिविटी टू द रूरल एरियाज. कवरेज क्राइटेरिया रहेगा सेंसस 2011 का, जैसे पॉपुलेशन शुड बी मोर देन 500 इन द प्लेन एरियाज एंड इन हिमालयन एंड द नॉर्थ ईस्ट स्टेट्स इट शुड बी मोर देन 250 एरियाज. And there is a special category also, for example tribal areas of schedule 5, then aspirational districts or blocks and desert regions. So all these are the objectives of the PM Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana phase 4. Now next part is, now what are the technologies that are being used. First technology is online management monitoring and accounting system. So इसका objective ये है to see the real time progress of the roads. उसमें फिजिकल प्रोग्रेस भी देखी जाएगी और फाइनेंशियल प्रोग्रेस भी देखी जाएगी कि फिजिकली हाउ मच रोड हैज बीन मेड एंड फाइनेंशियली हाउ मच अलोकेशन हैज बीन डन एंड हाउ मच हैज बीन यूटिलाइज्ड. देन इसके साथ देयर विल बी जियो टैगिंग रिगार्डिंग द क्वालिटी इंस्पेक्शंस. देन सेकंड पार्ट इज दिस अ 3 टायर इंस्पेक्शन प्रोसेस. टायर 1 में फील्ड लेवल पे चेक्स होंगे एग्जीक्यूटिंग एजेंसी के द्वारा. देन टायर 2 के अंदर इंडिपेंडेंट इंस्पेक्शंस होंगे स्टेट क्वालिटी मॉनिटरिंग में. थर्ड वन इज सरप्राइज ऑडिट्स बाय द नेशनल क्वालिटी मॉनिटरिंग. So कहीं ना कहीं there will be 3 tiers or 3 phase filtration process होगा so that the quality of the roads can be maintained. The next part is E-mark, electronic maintenance of the rural areas. तो इसका objective है to monitor the maintenance during the 5-year defect liability period. उसके अंदर जो पेमेंट जाएगी कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स को, दैट विल बी लिंक्ड विद द रोड परफॉर्मेंस एंड द क्वालिटी आउटकम्स. देन नेक्स्ट इज जीपीएस इनेबल्ड मॉनिटरिंग. इसके अंदर मैंडेटरी जीपीएस व्हीकल ट्रैकिंग सिस्टम सिंस May 22 हैज बीन इम्प्लीमेंटेड, एंड इसके अंदर देयर विल बी इक्विपमेंट डिप्लॉयमेंट एंड द कंस्ट्रक्शन ड्यूरेशन. तो उन दोनों को हम लोग जीपीएस के थ्रू क्या करेंगे, ट्रैक करेंगे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अ क्रेन इज बीइंग आस्क्ड, तो हैज द क्रेन रीच्ड टू दैट पर्टिकुलर एरिया और नॉट, दैट विल बी ट्रैक्ड थ्रू दिस GPS vehicle tracking system. Then last part is technical standards and sustainability. So eco-friendly material and innovative materials are being used. For example, fly ash, slag, waste plastic, geosynthetic, biovitamin. So all these things are being utilized so that the emphasis is on climate resilience and durability. Second, innovation and climate resilience practices. For example, waste plastic roads, cold mix technology, full depth reclamation, all these things are being implemented. Now it's your turn to attempt this MCQ and you post your answers in the comment box. The fourth topic we are having is that Constitution of India will now be present in Santhali language. The backdrop here is that President of India released the Constitution of India in the Santhali language. This topic is relevant from GS Prelims point of view, and at the time of release, along with President, Vice President as well as Minister of State for Law and Justice were present. Now, the script that will be used for the Santhali language is Old Chiki script. So, this is important for us. First of all, Santhali language. Second is Old Chiki script. First of all, about the Santhali language. The Santhali language is one of the most ancient living languages of the country, and it is also one of the 22 languages that are included in the 8th schedule. So, it is one of the languages present in the 8th schedule, and this language was included in the 8th schedule by 92nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 2003. So, this data fact is important for you. Next, where this language is being spoken. So, this language, as we know, is related with the Santhal tribe. So, it is spoken in Jharkhand, Odisha, West Bengal, Bihar, and also in some parts of Assam. It is this language, the use of this language is found. Next is the script. Script का मतलब क्या, जैसे मान लो हिंदी we speak. So, Hindi is the language and Devanagari is the script जिसमें हम लिखते हैं उसको. So, Old Chiki is the script that is for the Santhali language, and this script is not very old. This script was devised by Pandit Raghunath Murmu in 1925. So, abhi this year 100 years of this Old Chiki script has been completed. Now, next is that this script is also known as Old Cement. Now, what is this particular script? This script is actually a phonetic script. इसमें 30 basic letters हैं, and every letter is going to correspond with a sound. तो phonetic का मतलब ही ये होता है कि every letter is going to have a particular sound. For example, that we have in Hindi. तो every alphabet, every letter is going to have a particular sound. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि उसकी sound कुछ और हो. So, this is known as a phonetic script. So, it is having a total 30 basic letters. And this script is written from left to right. जो हम normally लिखते हैं English को भी या हिंदी को भी, तो we write from left to right. So, in that manner, this script will be used. Now, next part is that what is the benefit of developing this script? So, जब तक script नहीं थी, वो सिर्फ एक language थी. Now, it is having a script also, it can be written also. पहले वो verbal थी सिर्फ. So, it has helped in the preservation and standardization of the Santhali language, and it has provided a distinct written identity to the Santhali language. And this is about the Old Chiki script. Now, you are in a position to attempt this MCQ and post your answers in the comment box. The fifth topic that we are having is the developments that are happening in the Western Hemisphere, that is between USA and Venezuela. Now, as we know, USA is consistently blockading any vessel that is coming out of the Venezuelan waters, and basically to stop the oil trade of Venezuela. So, that is the context here, that the USA's blockade or naval blockade over the vessels coming out of Venezuelan waters. Now, here we have to see that the sanctions put by only one country, that is USA, unilaterally they are putting the sanctions on other countries, and the whole world is following them. Even UN sanctions are not that much respected, the respect that these USA sanctions are getting. So, how come a country's sanctions are actually dictating the terms for the whole world? That we have to see. Now, first of all, the news is that US President Donald Trump announced a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers entering and leaving Venezuela. The move is aimed at enforcing the US sanctions on Venezuelans oil trade. So this is Venezuela, this is USA, and Venezuela is connected to the North Atlantic Ocean. यहाँ पे है Gulf of Mexico, Caribbean Sea, and you have to see the geography of this whole region in the atlas. Now let's go to the first part. The first part here is that these are the particular 3 ships in the recent news which have been stopped by USA. Skipper, Centuries, and Bella 1. So these are the names of the ships which are carrying oil from Venezuela, and they have been stopped by USA. The next part comes is that the difference between the UN and the US sanctions. So for example, UN is a body which is having 193 countries, right? And any sanction that is passed by UN, that will be passed by the United Nations General Assembly. So it will be having a collective will of the whole world, or the majority of the world, when a sanction is put upon any other country. So UN sanctions are multilateral, they are legally binding and enforceable under the international law. वही हम यूएस की बात करें, फॉर एग्जांपल यूएस हैज नाउ पुट सैंक्शंस ऑन वेनेजुएला. इंडिया के ऊपर भी उसने रखे थे सैंक्शंस ड्यूरिंग 1998 जब वी हैड आवर न्यूक्लियर टेस्ट. अभी सम टाइम बैक रशिया वाज फेसिंग द यूएस सैंक्शंस, Iran has faced the US sanctions, North Korea has faced it. So there has been sanctions that are by USA. Now US sanctions are actually unilateral. That is, unilateral ka matlab they are the only country that is putting those sanctions. They are actually economic measures used to achieve foreign policy goals. So the basic objective of USA's sanction is to achieve the foreign policy goals. Now there are 2 things. एक हो सकता है economic sanction. For example, if any country is doing any economic activity with the sanctioned country, then US is not going to do economic activity with that particular country. Those are known as economic sanctions. एक होते हैं physical sanction, physical enforcement. For example, USA is now doing that. It is now blockading the vessels coming out of Venezuela. So this is known as physical enforcement. Basically Gulf War 1 के टाइम पे US has tried to put the physical sanctions, but वो costly भी हैं and ज़्यादा effective भी नहीं है. So since second Gulf War, US has always tried to put economic sanctions rather than going for the physical sanctions. This time USA is going for the physical sanctions. It is physically stopping any vessel that is coming out of Venezuela. Now next is that the use of global financial system. कि how come USA is able to make its economic sanctions effective? जो economic sanction वो लगाता है, how they are effective? The first thing it is having is the dollar. US dollar, as we know, is used globally as a exchange currency by the countries. So US dollar, also the petrodollar system. जो भी petrol होगा, the fuel that we are having, the crude oil that we are having, that will be traded in the dollars. So this particular petrodollar system is actually one of the factors due to which any other country would not want to get sanctions of the USA. So if any country violates a sanction that is put by USA, that particular country has to face in the terms of access to the dollars. For example, Russia है, Russia के ऊपर US sanctions are there, and India has taken oil from Russia. Now US could have done this thing, that it would have stopped India's access to these dollars. तो वो कर सकता था. So that is one of the key factors, that USA is having a currency which has become a global currency. And that's why you might have seen that many countries have been trying to internationalize their currency, to do bilateral trades in their own currencies. जैसे इंडिया एंड रशिया ने किया था, तो the trade was done in bilateral currencies. रशियन करेंसी एंड इंडियन रुपये के अंदर ट्रेड हुआ था. China has been trying this thing to internationalize its currency. So one benefit USA is having, that its US dollar is an international currency. The second is that the financial system that US owns, US financial systems and US markets. So US simply says that if any country is going to do trade with Venezuela, or any company is going to do trade with Venezuela, then it will not be getting access to the US financial systems and US markets. So if you are doing trade with Venezuela, then you are not going to have access to these 2 things, and these are the main financial movers of the world. So एक तो आपको इसका access हट जाएगा. The next part is that the insurance sector, which is mainly dominated by the Western countries, so वो भी कहीं ना कहीं हट जाएगा. For example, any vessel is there that is not following the US sanctions, तो उसके ऊपर से जो insurance cover है, that will be removed. So no company will be willing to provide insurance to these particular vessels. So उस केस में as we know shipping is a risky business, so in that case insurance becomes very very important, it becomes very very mandatory. So if you are not having insurance, then no one is willing to provide goods to you. The next part is, once US sanctions are imposed, classification societies also withdraw the certification. So kahin na kahin there has to be one certification also by the classification societies. So वो classification societies भी participate नहीं करेंगे उस vessel को certify करने में. If the certification is not done, then the vessel will not be having any kind of flags, and if a vessel is not having any flags, then according to UN clause, the particular naval or the coast guard can actually go on board over that vessel and can check. तो मान लो कोई भी vessel है जिसके ऊपर it is not having any flag or it is not having certification, then any country's vessel can go on board because there is chances of piracy, illegal activities or lack of nationality. तो उन grounds के ऊपर that vehicle can be stopped, can be boarded and can be stopped for indefinite time. So that is the reason that other vessels or other countries try to follow whatever UN sanctions have been there. Now next is that what has been the effectiveness of this UN sanctions, for example Iran and Russia. So because US position was not as strong, and Iran and Russia, as they are having a lot of natural resources and many countries are dependent upon them, so US sanctions का ज़्यादा असर इनके ऊपर नहीं हुआ. And the classical case is the tariffs that have been imposed upon India, 50% tariffs, and that are the reason cited is because India was not stopping its oil supply from Russia. So in wake of sanctions also, it totally depends upon the country which US is dealing with. Now next part is US is having one organization known as Office for the Foreign Asset Control, and this office is under the US Treasury Department. And this office is important because its basic role is to investigate the sanction violations. If any country or any company or any organization is violating the sanctions imposed by USA, so they will be investigated and it will be sanctioning individuals, companies and vessels regarding that. So punishment or investigation का काम किसके पास है? It is with the Office of the Foreign Asset Control Office. Now with this you have to attempt the MCQ and you have to post your answers in the comment box. So with this we complete for the day. Thank you very much.